It's James with Pen and Pad Magazine. We're sitting here in Yakima, Washington, the GAT studio. Shout out to GAT, one and only M Status.
What's going on, you guys?
He was nice enough to give us a few moments of his time, so we're going to go through his background, why he's one of the most independent and biggest artists coming out of the Northwest, what he's done, what he's doing, and why you should follow him. So how I want to start this off is, you had your start doing producing for bigger artists back in the day, right?
Yeah, that's exactly how I started out. It's crazy. So I was, obviously just raised around the music, and
Right.
I started out playing the drums in church, and
Okay.
then from that point on, I kind of like learned the piano. And obviously, you put two and two together. That's how you
Right.
start making beats. And then I came from a very strict household, preacher's kid, couldn't
Right.
do much. So
Right.
all I could really do was music. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I remember my dad had bought me this keyboard, and all my friends would. This was like middle school. All my friends was like at the little school dances and everything,
Right.
and
Right.
I'm stuck at the crib.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So putting the keyboard together, and I just, that's what I would do to pass my time, because I couldn't talk to them until they was done with the dances.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
yeah.
man, I got to do something. And so I just started like working on rhythms and tracks, and it felt good. It felt right. And it was just an amazing feeling, and it would pass so much time till we had like a basement area, and I would be down in the basement for hours, man. And
Yeah.
it just came, it just became me kind of perfecting that. And from that point on, like unconsciously, I like just kind of just started studying music and other producers, and then just like just teaching myself without even knowing I was teaching myself.
So what other producers influenced you? Like,
Man.
because you got a certain sound.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
like producers brought you in and like made you that status?
That's dope, man. You know what? I was like I think one of the first producers that I really, really tapped into was Timbaland.
Okay.
He had like just such a unique sound. And so, man, I would go on, this is like back in the day, so I would go on like Google all his work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they had like a section where it was like unreleased tracks.
Yeah.
And I would find those, and then I'd go on LimeWire. This is back in the day,
Yeah.
people. I don't know if y'all remember LimeWire, but the little the downloading place. And I would type in these names and find these tracks and just listen to the production and listen to the work. And I like studied that for so long. I did that with him.
Yeah.
And then from there to Pharrell and the Neptunes, their
Okay.
work was amazing. And then as other producers began to like come up, and the software and the music started to like upgrade, I just got into a lot of different things. And then of course I've always been raised around like harmonies and melodies, so R&B music was really big for me. So just that whole vibe, and so I really just studied that, tried to recreate some of the things that they did, and I taught myself how to like play, just
Right.
trying to listen to the chords, and that's how I was able to kind of just do that. And through all of that, and the rhythm and the different things that I had, I kind of created my own sound and my own style. You know what I mean? I knew like coming up, if I really wanted to pursue it, I couldn't bite. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
No,
plus, they had such a unique and dope style.
Yeah.
I couldn't bite it anyway. And I always respected that. Nowadays, I feel like, there's a lot of music that just sounds kind of the same because you can make
it's
it.
the hype.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
can
hype,
make it
yeah.
because it's so simple. I always respected artists and music, singers and rappers that could do things that
Yeah.
I couldn't do, because it's like, that's dope. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do what you do. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? Rather than me looking up to somebody like, oh, I can do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's where the game kind of got watered
Yeah.
down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to find your own thing. And when I see somebody that's like, yo, that's tight, I can't do that, I rock with that. So that's kind of what influenced me to just kind of get into it, So we got bigger throughout high school. Then, like, I was the kid that had the studio, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and back in this day. So all the upperclassmen, everybody kind of wanted to do music and rap, you know what I'm saying? So I was just that kid that had some beats, had some studio time, and they would come in and just, so I perfected my, I guess, formatting and mixing through that, because there's a process to it. You got to know, okay, 8 bars, 16 bars, my verse is here, my chorus is here.
Right.
And so I learned how to do that just by working with these, these kids that wanted to rap. So
Yeah.
I just got better and better and more confident in my style, and kind of finally got support from my parents at first that were just like, no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, once they saw the passion I had, they allowed me to pursue it,
Yeah.
and then encouraged me, invested in me, got me better equipment, got me better studio stuff. And from that point on, I just used what I had and try to make it pop. And so finally, man, I had like, the MySpace profile.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
yeah,
remember
everybody
that?
had that
But
joint.
The old school.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
with the shades, yeah,
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
When I had the keyboard
Yeah,
and I had the,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so I would post up music that I did, beats that I did, and I ran across an artist that was in Houston, because MySpace was like worldwide at that time. And so I ended up doing some R&B records with him. and he got a management deal, which was really dope. And so, you know, and he was really talented. He was really talented singer. Shout out my guy Mateo. And it was really cool. He pretty much let his team know that wanted to sign him. Like, you know what, I'm down to do this deal, but if I do it, I got to bring this kid with me. He's really talented.
So is that how you were able to break out? Cause
that is.
Excuse me. Yeah, because we're from a small town.
Yes.
So is that how you broke out and were able to produce for the bigger artists?
Exactly. That was really, I owe him so much and that team so much, because that's what it was. That's really what happened. They, you know, he was so adamant about, and he was from Houston, you know what I'm saying? So they got so much clout and so much more opportunities, you know? And so him reaching out, coming back for me, you know, and then like allowing these people to hear what I was doing. And I was like, man, 16, 17 at this time.
So while you were doing that,
yeah,
who was like the first artist that we would know that you reached out to and worked with and produced with, and who else have you worked and produced with? And how did that happen?
Okay, so the first, like my first actual major placement was on a mixtape that the Game did, his earlier mixtapes. Okay. And so how that happened was, like I said, was through the actual company that I was working with. Well, so when my guy put me on, and they reached out to me, they talked to me, I sent them like, oh man, I had like maybe 20 beats. You know, that I was confident in. I had a lot of beats, but like ones that I knew were just like
the hitters.
You gotta have those no-brainers. I sent those over, and they liked what they heard, and so they, you know, were working through a publishing company. Okay. You know, and so there's, I mean, obviously so many artists, and so everybody in every label is looking for beats. So they were able to submit some records that I did.
So you did it through a submission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They were able to submit some records. They had a little bit of clout, so it was like they were higher on the list than other people. You know what I mean? And it was kind of one of those things that's just like, if you're good, they're going to rock with you, and if, you know, whatever. And so, like I said, the sound that I was doing was really unique, obviously being here in the Northwest. And I, you know, it was a West Coast sound, but it still was melodic. It still had its own flavor, and it was just different. You know what I mean? And so I remember when they told me, like, you know, it was selected, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, yeah, okay. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And so it was one of those things, too. And it was like, it wasn't an album record or anything like that, but it was still big to me. Still big to me. And, you know, it was just strictly a mixtape. I don't even know if he did a chorus to it. It was just like something where he just, and at this time, that's what he was doing. He was just going in, like no hooks, just going in. You know, so I remember hearing it, and dude, like, I mean, it was crazy. I didn't even know how to feel. Like, I couldn't even really feel like I was the man, because I was like, man, is this really, like, you know what I mean? And so it was just from that point, but it gave me so much more confidence, too. Like, I was like, okay, I'm onto something. And so after that, man, that situation opened up a few more doors for me. And so by the time I was like 18, they offered me a real situation. And so, you know, I took it. I took it, and I moved to Atlanta, man. And at this time, too, I was working with the school district. I had my own studio. Had, like, a little steady girlfriend, like, you know, that little high school sweetheart thing where, oh, we're going to get married. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I left it all. It all. Like, it was like, I got to do it. And me and my two homies, man, we packed up and left home, and left left the state, different time zones, and moved to Atlanta just on a dream, you know what I mean? And it was such a beneficial thing.
So who down there were you guys able to connect with? Because you earlier you mentioned not just the Game, you were with Young Buck.
Yes.
And who are the other artists?
So this is how so those doors opened up, and you keep in mind at this time too, this was when Atlanta was popping. So the label that we were with, Crystal Ball Entertainment, they were trying to just do this big thing where everybody that they signed was just going to be kind of in-house and just making records. So they moved us all out to Atlanta. So my boy Mateo, there was another rapper, myself, and I was just a producer. You know what I'm saying? I was doing music myself, but they wasn't really rocking with me at that point. And I had to get confident in my sound. So cool. You know, I was just happy to be there. I brought my boys with me just to have a piece of home. You know what I mean? And they, you know, we were all artists, and we were thinking like, yo, all we need is opportunity. You know, we're here. We have a place to be. We can make some money. But if they hear our sound and we're from the Northwest, if we bring our Northwest flavor to, who knows what could happen. You know what I mean? So we just kind of took that on, and then, you know, from that point on, the beats just, it got better. My equipment got better, and I got more confident in my sound. So after that, I did a record with that actually featured Young Buck, and then from that point on, I ended up doing a record with him. I don't think it ever came out. It was pretty turned up though. It was cool. So we did that. Through that situation, the next big thing, which I was really excited about, was Twista, and I, you know, being like, you know, that Northwest sound, and you know, I mean, Twista was really dope. Like, he still is. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Twista, but like, you know, at that time, you know, obviously it was really popping, and so the song that we did was called "Lose It," and it was crazy just to hear his flow on the track, and you know, he gave it that speed. I was like, yo, this is dope. Like, that's what I really felt confident about what I was doing, man. I was like, this is really cool. So from that point on, man, I just kind of started building a little, you know what I'm saying, like a little I guess, you know, just my track record a little bit.
So when you do something like this, when you were younger, with your deal, did you get paid up front, or was it a royalty situation? How are you making bread off those situations?
So this is where, you know, this is where you get your life lesson. This is where you get your life lesson. So the situation that I ended up signing, which, you know, you're young, whatever the case may be, a couple of them I did get a little bit of upfront money. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it was publishing. At this time, I didn't know anything about publishing. I didn't know anything about back end. I didn't know anything. You know, even if you get upfront money, you're still supposed to get, you know, especially being the producer off top. And I made a whole track. It wasn't like, now you have joint collaborations with producers, and he might play keys here, you do the drums. I was doing everything. So I'm supposed to get 50% of that track and writer's credit.
Right.
Even if I didn't touch, I was like, that's just what it is. Right. You know what I'm saying? But being, you know, young-minded, they cut into my percentages and everything like that. So it was crazy. So I was doing all these things, and you know, I'm doing okay. You know, and what really was like the eye opener, you know, was so crazy. We ended up doing this deal, right? And it was with a rock hop group. You know what I'm saying? Which I was so nervous but excited to do it because I was the only producer that they called to do this, where we're mixing rock music and hip hop music. The group was called The Rebellion, and it was another big, I did the single, and the single featured Trina, which was the first time I worked with her. And the joint is called Grown and Sexy. I think it's still on YouTube. You can look it up. Rebellion, Grown and Sexy. You can hear me in the beginning because I was so pumped about it. I was like, I'm going to talk some shit in this beginning part. I don't care. And then she like shouted me out. She's like, young. And that's why I always, she said Young Stats. And that was the first time anybody ever said that. To this day, I still go by Young Stats. So
Trina gave you that.
Okay. Low key, that's how it really happened like that. So shout out to Trina for that. So look that joint up when y'all get a chance. But so anyway, so we do, they end up doing about 12 records. And I produced the whole album. And I was so proud.
So for the rock group or for Trina?
For the rock group, the rock hop group. And so they had like a major situation, so they were able to get, you know, bigger features. And so I produced the whole project, and they had like just a bunch of beats in their mind, and they really sat with me and was like, ooh, this is what we want. And I created each track from scratch, gave it the rock feel, mixed with the hip hop feel, threw some features on there. Like I really put in the work for this project, you know. So I'm like waiting on, you know, the money, because we did our situation, and I was trusting my management to do a cool situation. So she's like telling me, this is what you're going to get, whatever the case may be, but it's just taking forever. So I remember things were getting tight. My parents hit me up, and they're like, they need some money. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I got you. I'm getting paid soon. And it's just it's taking so long. So I finally get the check, and I remember I wanted a new keyboard, and I remember it was what was it, the Phantom. And I went and I cashed it out. And then I took all my boys to eat and went to Red Lobster. You know what I'm saying? And it was lit. And then, you know, the rest, which was not a whole lot left, you know, I just did dumb stuff. I bought a chain. But I don't even know what happened to it. But, you know, whatever the case may be. But, you know, keep in mind, I'm doing this whole project. I'm supposed to get 50% publishing and all that. So my manager, you know, who's only supposed to be getting 10% of what I'm getting, she ends up buying a house. And then the house is furnished. And then, so I'm like, wait a minute. You know, this isn't adding up. Like, I could buy a keyboard that's $1,500.
You got a keyboard.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know.
It don't add up.
So I go, you know, behind her back, and I call, like, the manager of the group. And I'm like, so I'm just, you know, I wanted to know, just for tax purposes, what, you know, I just came up with something. And so he let me know the whole situation. And it came out that it was horrible. So how much longer after you found out what was going on with that, that you stayed and then left the situation? Immediately, man. Immediately. As soon as I knew what it was, and I had, you know, a little, you know, you could kind of get a vibe, and I had kind of vibe. I'm not adding up certain things, you know, And so I called immediately, and I was like, okay. At first, I called my guy Mateo just because he put me onto the situation.
Right.
I didn't want him to look bad, but I had to get out. It was crazy.
You gotta take care of yourself.
Yes, you know what I mean. So I tell her about it, and then she like the real her comes out, and she's like, you know what? You signed this deal.
Yeah.
I got you for another 2 years, and I'm gonna shelve you. Which if you get shelved, it's like you can work and work, and if they don't put your music out, you're working for free. You're not gonna, I couldn't get no money, and I couldn't get another deal because it's like you're trapped, you know. So was your
deal as a producer?
Yeah, as a producer.
Yeah, see, they don't understand. People watching, they don't understand that. You get shelved as an artist, it's different. You get shelved as a producer,
it is really horrible, dude. Yeah. You know, and so that was the toughest thing for me. I'm young. I'm on my own. I'm in a whole nother state. You know what I mean? And like she's trying to shelve me. So that's my career. That's my livelihood. I don't have a family at this point. As far as I have my family, but I don't have kids and all that. But still, you know, I'm trying to create this whole thing, and so it was crazy. So man. Through God and just being able to be cool with people. There was another production company that I had met through her actually, and I had just done co-production. And man, my guy Voodoo, shouts out, who actually we got the show coming up in Denver. What is that? May 27th. I'm gonna be out there with him. That's my guy. We've been cool since then. He came and rescued me straight up. I did some co-production, and he's a really popular Grammy award winning. You know, he did the Georgia record for Ludacris and Field Mob. Records for Chingy, R. Kelly. Really established dude. Really established dude. And he took me under his wing, connected me with a lawyer, and was able to get me out of the situation. It cost me like $10,000.
Were you able to get your back pay?
No. Well, I mean, kind of, but I had to pay the lawyer. So, like, you know what I mean? That I was just happy to get out of the situation. And so I was a free agent, but keep in mind, I still didn't have, you know, I'm like, okay, I got to get out of here. And I like the South. I love ATL. I love H-Town. I love all that. But ATL was so different for me because I'm a city boy. I'm from the Northwest. So I'm like, I was waiting for opportunity. They were based out of Vegas. So it was like, okay, cool. So I remember once I finally got free, he hit me up and was like, we're going to give you opportunity, you know, and that's it. So they flew me out, and I had like 2 days, and literally, and you think in Vegas, turn up, nah. Like, I remember landing, it was my first time there, it was like 11 at night, and it was so hot. So hot still, you know. They take me to the studio, really nice spot, you know, really cool. This has like a little cot, though, and they're like, make records, you know. You have 2 days. And so I was like, all right, cool, you know. I like literally slept, ate, breathed for those 2 days. Music, beats, everything. That's all I did. I did not enjoy the nightlife, the sights, nothing. I was in the studio, and you know, I mean, I left my catalog that I made. I made about 15 records in those 2 days, and man, they offered me a situation, and he was actually a subsidiary through Bad Boy, you know, and that's how I got the Bad Boy situation, and that's what opened more doors, you know. So
what did you do at Bad Boy then? Just producing? Or?
Yeah, just production work. I mean, I did a few features, but like it was more so like songwriting stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's how I kind of got like my niche as far as songwriting. Got confident.
So did you ever meet Diddy?
I met his mom. I didn't meet him. You know what I'm saying? Like he like that part. He like, which is smart. You know, he signed over to his mom. So Janice, she like showed like that whole side or whatever. But I mean, obviously he was the shot caller, but as far as the production end that I was in. And it was a subsidiary, so it was Track Kings, Bad Boy. So Track Kings was the main label, Track Kings West, since we're on the West Coast. Right. And then the obviously the funding label.
And so how long was that deal established for?
That deal, man, I was on Track Kings, Bad Boy for a good, I want to say like 3 years.
And so what ended up happening with that?
Okay, so I moved out to Vegas. You know, they offered me the deal, and I was so excited, dude. I moved to Vegas. I'm like, yes, I'm 2 hours away from a 2 hour flight away from home. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be closer. The atmosphere is right. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm working. This is when I meet Montel, and I'm in the studio literally with him. And I remember shell shocked because I'm like singing a record that. And I think you could check it out. It's on YouTube. It's called Stir It Up. Him and Fat Man Scoop jumped on the hook. And it was dope, you know. And I remember singing the notes, and he's singing them back. And I'm like, yo, no, you're off, you know. And he's like, okay. And he still kept singing it wrong. I'm like, no. You know, I'm showing him how to sing it, and it kind of hit me. I was like, remembering this is how we do it.
No. but there is no reason why. I fell asleep late last night, crying like a newborn child, holding myself close, pretending my arms are yours. I want no one but you. I get so lonely, I can't let just anybody hold you. I want no one but you. I get so lonely, I can't let just anybody hold you. I want no one but you. I want no one but you. I still remember too.